I'm making this video for the nurse who got online stating that she hates Black American people, she hates African American people, however you guys want to use the term. She hates us, she doesn't want to have a relationship with us, she wants nothing to do with us. Well, ma'am, if it hadn't been for us Black Americans in the United States, you wouldn't have the opportunity to be in this country and be a nurse. You wouldn't have the opportunity to live in America and enjoy the rights that you enjoy as an African immigrant in America that you enjoy. So, I'm going to give you a story time about what my own personal family history went through in this country and how they fought and what they witnessed. When I was young, being that my father's family was from Louisiana, I used to ask my father, why did the family move to Oklahoma? Because I was born and raised in Oklahoma City. So I asked my father, why did y'all move to Oklahoma? Like, why did so much of your family move to Oklahoma? Because, my dad's grandmother, my dad's aunts, my dad's cousins, a large group of our family moved from Louisiana to Oklahoma. So when I used to ask my dad this question, he said, oh, we moved to Oklahoma because there were better jobs, there were better opportunities, there were better, economy, everything like that. So we moved from Shreveport, Louisiana to Oklahoma. And so I was thinking, wow, everybody moved, the whole family moved. It wasn't until I read a book that my father wrote that I figured out why the family, in fact, had moved from Shreveport to Oklahoma. So basically, my dad wrote a book. He's not done with it yet, but he asked me if I wanted to preview some of it one day, and I said, sure, Dad, yeah, I'd like to. So I start reading the book, and in the book, it talks about my great-grandfather, which is my dad's mother's father. And his name, I'm going to leave it out because of the things that happened. But my great-grandfather from Greenwood, Shreveport, Louisiana, in the backwoods of Shreveport, basically was a big, tall, strong Black man. About 6'4", worked on the railroads, very strong, just a strapping Black man. And my great-grandfather didn't take no shit. And I knew that even when I was a child, like going over to their house, he had mannerisms about himself. And if you were talking and he wanted you to get it out, he'd hit the table like this. Damn it, baby, get it out. Get it out, baby. Say what you got to say. That's how he'd talk. And I just laughed when I was little, like, why my great-grandpa act like that? And my daddy, they would just laugh. But my great-grandfather didn't take no shit. And when I read my dad's book, it basically described my great-grandfather as a fighter. He used to fight. He used to whoop ass all over town in Shreveport. And because he whooped so much ass, and, he fought a lot of white men, and it's happened many, many times, but this one time, he fought this one white man. They came looking for him to hang him up in a tree. They wanted to kill him and hang him in a tree. So basically, that's the reason why my family moved from Shreveport to Oklahoma. But I'm going to tell y'all the story. So basically, my great-grandpa had a flat tire. And back in the day when you had a flat tire, you go to the gas station and you would borrow the tire iron and things like that. You would borrow it from the gas station to fix your own flat tire. So my great-grandfather was at the gas station and he needed a tire iron and he was fixing his flat tire. He had a flat. While he's fixing his flat tire, a white man had pulled up and needed to fix his tire. So the white man asked my great-grandfather, hey, boy, give me that tire iron. And so my great-grandpa looked at him like, what, bitch, what? And of course, he ignored him. My great-grandpa kept on fixing his tire. And the white man said, hey, boy, I said, give me that goddamn tire. So my great-grandpa got up, took the tire iron, and went to work. Meaning he beat the dog shit out of that man. After he beat the dog shit out of that man, he got ghost. He went away. Well, the police, well, not even the police, the Klansmen, the men on horses, they came riding up on horses with torches in the air. And they rode up in a brigade of horses. And they all held torches. And it was my great-grandmother, his wife, outside of the house. It was my father outside of the house. My father was just a baby, like, I think 5 years old. And it was some more of my dad's aunts, which would be my great-grandmother's daughters, out in front of the house. Well, as they could see in the distance that these men was riding up in a group on horses with torches, they knew what they were there for. Because back in the day, you didn't have this group of white men riding up on horses towards your property unless there was a problem. So as my great-grandmother and my aunt saw this, they gathered everything, they got really nervous, and they went into the house. Now, back in the day, they didn't have glass windows in the houses that my family lived in. They were very poor, so they had shutters. Shutters is kind of like wooden blinds that used to be on houses back in the day. And so there was shutters. And so they could still hear everything outside, but everybody ran in the house and closed the shutters. Now, what they forgot is that they left my dad outside by accident and didn't realize they left him outside until it was too late. So my dad was like 5 years old, out all by himself, scared to death, because these white men rode up in this group on horses with torches. And even my dad at 5 years old knew what that meant. And so when the men rolled up, they said, "Hey, boy, where's Andrew Jackson?" I said I wasn't going to say my grandfather's name. That's his name. "Where's Andrew Jackson?" And my dad just looked. He was too scared to say anything. He just looked. He was a baby. And my great-grandmother had yelled from out of the house and said, "He's not here." And then the guy said, "We know he's in there. Tell him to come out now, or we're going to, threaten him." So my great-grandma yells out again, "He's not here." And so one of the white men knew my great-grandma, and he said, "Well, we know Miss Jackson is an honest lady." And her name was Zephyr Jackson. "We know she's an honest lady, and I believe her. If she says he's not here, I believe her." So the men decided to turn around, and they went away. But what happened is my great-grandpa had fled to Oklahoma because he knew they were going to hang him from a tree for that act of beating up that white man with a tire iron. So my great-grandfather fled to Oklahoma, and that's basically the start of my family migrating from Louisiana to Oklahoma. That's the true story. Another story that I was told when I was young was a story that was told to me by my dad's father. So my dad's father, he was a character. He used to just call everybody nicknames. He was real funny. He'd make you laugh. He had a way of making you feel at home, but also a way of teasing you to make you feel at home. One day I went over to my grandmother's house, and I'm just sitting down. I don't remember what me and my grandfather were talking about because he had such a thick Louisiana accent. It took me till I was about 10 years old to be able to even understand what my grandfather used to say to me. When I was young, he would talk to me, "Gotta go to the store, go around the corner, go over there." And I say, "Huh?" And my grandma said, "Baby, don't keep saying huh to your grandpa. It upsets him." So even though I didn't used to understand exactly what my grandfather was saying, I used to just say, okay. Because he talked real fast. Hey, did you go to the store and get back down around the corner?" And I'd be like, I don't know what my grandpa was saying, but it took me to about 10 years old to understand my grandpa. Anyway, one day I'm an adult. I'm sitting down talking to my grandfather, and he decides to tell me a story. And he said, "Yeah, that's how they used to hang black men in trees back in the day. They used to hang them up in a tree." He said, "Let me tell you a story about when I was a kid." He said, "When I was a kid, my father used to tell me when he was walking to the store and going out into town, if he ever ran into a black man hanging in a tree, that his father told him, just stop, don't say anything, don't say a word, just turn the other way and go a different direction. And so one day he was walking in the store to buy some candy, you know, like the little penny candies or whatever they had back in the day. And while he was walking through the woods, he saw a black man hanging in a tree. And my grandpa was young. He said it scared the daylights out of him. Like, he was so scared and so in fear for his life. He probably was about 7 years old. So he told me he saw a black man hanging from a tree. He's walking through the woods to get to the store. And so he stops and he goes the other way. He said once he starts going the other way, he sees another black man hanging from a tree. So when my grandpa told me that story, that always stuck in my mind. It always stuck in my head. And those are just the stories I used to hear. Now, when I was a child, the first memory of racism that I experienced was about 5 years old. My dad was a police officer, and a high-ranking police officer, and he was moving up the ladder really quick in rank. And for a black man, that was rare. And one day we got home, and this is back when they had the voicemails that was like the old school tape recorders. You had to rewind it and all that stuff to play the voicemail. Well, we got into the house, and we put on the voicemail. And when we turned on the voicemail, there was this white man on the machine. And he said, "Johnson, I'm gonna kill you, you nigger, you black nigger, we're gonna kill you." And I was 5 years old, so I'm crying. I said, "Oh, Daddy." I said, "They gonna kill you." And my daddy said, "They ain't gonna do a goddamn thing. They ain't gonna do shit." And I said, "Really?" He said, "They ain't doing a goddamn thing." I remember when I was young, my dad didn't sleep in his bedroom for almost a year. And he said the reason he didn't sleep in his bedroom is because he had some type of gastric stomach problem. But him being a police officer, I know now that he was sleeping downstairs with his gun to make sure that we were safe, just in case any of those threats came to life. And that's what I experienced. I mean, I've been called the N-word so many times growing up as a young teenager in Oklahoma. I mean, that's just normal. I've been called that here in Dallas. That's just normal. The things that our ancestors went through in this country and the things that they endured, horrible. My father was the first black chief of police of Little Rock, Arkansas. Y'all can look it up. You look it up, that's my father. He was sued for reverse racism, for promoting all the black officers and Latino officers. But hey, you know, nobody's perfect. We went through a lot of shit in this country for somebody from Africa to say they hate us. If you don't like black Americans, you don't have to be in this country. If you don't like us and like who we are, you don't have to be here. But we are so ignorant as black people. We're the easiest people to divide and turn against one another. We're easy to divide. We look ignorant in the face of the world because we cannot stick together. We would be so powerful if we could stick together. But you always feed into the masses' plan. That's all I had to say. I find it disrespectful even on black Americans' behalf, getting on videos making fun of Africans. Each side's wrong and it's stupid. I don't have any problem with African. I love everybody who loves me. I love everybody who respects me. It is until you disrespect me that I have a problem. Everybody has a fair chance with me in the beginning. We need to learn to respect each other. And that's just the point that I wanted to make. I wanted to share my history and my personal family story. And I did. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And have a great day.